Continuing from previous reviews of his work, today's focus will be on Jackie Chan's 1986 film Armour of God. He directs and stars, and it features Alan Tam and Lola Forner as co-stars. Let's talk movies. The relic hunter known as Asian Hawk is recruited by his estranged friend to rescue their mutual love from a cult. Said cult intends on ransoming her to obtain the remaining pieces of the Armour of God, a mystical relic from the Middle Ages. Making a deal with a wealthy collector of antiquities, the two men are allowed to borrow the remaining pieces in his possession to aid in their rescue mission. Accompanying them is the collector's resourceful daughter. Armour of God is actually the preceding film to Operation Condor, which I previously reviewed. It didn't get released in the US until after Condor came out, so as a result it was marketed as a prequel. It really doesn't matter which order you view them, there's little continuity connecting them. They're both self-contained stories, sort of like the Bond films. Actually, you know what? Watch them in order of release. Armour of God is good, but Operation Condor is much better in my opinion, so you'll want to end your double feature on the higher note. Jackie's action in this movie isn't as inventive as it is in other films, but that doesn't mean it isn't entertaining. The highlights of the film are the car chase, which has a few fun surprises, the fight in the dining hall, and a cavern brawl with 4 giant black women in stilettos. I mention their ethnicity only because up until this point in the movie, we have seen absolutely 0 people that are black, so it's jarring and a little comical, probably by design. There's a base jumping stunt at the end that's pretty boss too. No one in this movie is speaking English, so I had to put up with dubbing for every character. No Cantonese track for the DVD, unfortunately, so I can't fairly gauge the performances the way I'd like to. Going at face value, the supporting characters are pretty forgettable. Asian Hawk's friend Alan isn't particularly likable, nor does he contribute much apart from bringing the protagonist into the plot. Lola Forner's character, May, is kind of interesting. There's allusions to a romance between her and Asian Hawk, but it isn't developed much, which in a way actually makes it kind of more interesting to me. The villain in this movie suffers from some of the same problems as the one in the sequel. He doesn't have much screen time, so he's not fleshed out as much as a result. So, the cult he's leading are apparently supposed to be Satanists, although there's little to indicate that this is actually the case. That might just be an invention of the dub. Certainly the villain has a kind of Anton LaVey vibe to his appearance, even though LaVey and Satanists don't actually worship or even believe in the devil. It's just used as a mascot, but let's not go off into theology. The bad guys aren't nearly as goofy as in Operation Condor, which I will say gives this one an edge on its sequel. The 2 Arab thieves in Condor are pretty hokey. In general, actually, this film doesn't seem quite as comedic. It's definitely a lighthearted affair, but it doesn't figure as prominently, going from my own observation. So, is Armour of God worth watching? Yes, but there's plenty of other Jackie Chan films that are worth watching first. It's not as good as its sequel, but it's definitely better than Project A. I'd say Drunken Master, Police Story, Super Cop, and Who Am I should be at the top of your list. Then do a double feature of Armour of God and Operation Condor. So there's your homework. Enjoy it, and thanks for watching.